In the center America, where the highways stretch like veins and the cities pulse with life, there's a quiet war being fought, not with guns, but with paperwork, policies, and the fine print of tax bills. This is the gospel according to Medicaid, a story of survival, sacrifice, and the shadow of Trump's tax cuts looming over the lives of everyday people. When the new tax bill was signed, the headlines screamed of prosperity, of businesses flourishing, and of wallets growing thicker. But in the alleys behind the gleaming skyscrapers, in the clinics with flickering lights, and in the homes where dinner tables had one less chair each year, the reality was different. Medicaid, the lifeline for millions, was being stretched thin, its funds siphoned away to cover the gaps left by tax breaks for the wealthy. John, a factory worker in Ohio, felt it first. His daughter needed insulin, but the co-pays climbed higher. The factory got a tax cut, but his hours got cut too. Trickle-down economics, they called it, but John wasn't feeling any trickle, just a drought. Meanwhile, in a boardroom in New York, executives toasted to record profits, their bonuses fattened by the very law that left John scrambling. Then there was Maria, a home health aide in Florida, who cared for the elderly but couldn't afford her own doctor visits. Medicaid kept her patients alive, but the new budget caps meant longer waits, fewer services, and more red tape. She whispered to her clients, "God provides," but she wondered if God had also signed off on the tax bill. The gospel according to Medicaid isn't just about numbers, it's about the single mother choosing between rent and prescriptions. The veteran waiting months for a dental visit, the small town hospital closing its doors because the funding dried up. It's about the irony of a nation that calls itself the richest on earth, yet leaves its sick to beg for care. Trump's tax cuts were supposed to be a miracle, but for many, they became a curse. The deficit ballooned, and suddenly, Medicaid was on the chopping block, too expensive, they said. Yet the same politicians who slashed its funding had no problem handing out corporate tax breaks. It was a parable of priorities, who mattered and who didn't. But in the midst of the struggle, there were moments of grace. The nurse who paid for a patient's medication out of her own pocket. The community clinic run on donations. The protests in state capitals where people held signs that read, "Healthcare is a right." The gospel according to Medicaid wasn't just a story of loss, it was a story of resistance. And then there were the whispers of change. Some states fought back, expanding Medicaid despite federal cuts. Grassroots movements pushed for reform, for a system where no one had to choose between bankruptcy and a hospital bed. The tax bill had tried to silence the poor, but the poor were starting to shout back. As the years passed, the legacy of the tax cuts became clear. The wealthy got richer, the poor got sicker, and in between, Medicaid kept preaching its quiet gospel, the one that said, "Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me."